So I hear it all the time. Agents take so much time to qualify their clients, and they do the research to make sure the itineraries that they're recommending are perfect. And then they try to deliver these beautiful presentations and quotes in a timely manner, only to be left in the dust when the client takes that itinerary, books it themselves online to save 15 bucks. Sound familiar? My name's Erin Cook. I'm a travel agent, business coach, and creator of the Travel Biz Impact Membership Academy, where I help travel agents implement smart and simple systems so that they can start enjoying more freedom, profit, and joy in their businesses. So if that sounds like you're not alone, because I did the same thing for about the first 6 months of my travel career, and it was really disheartening because I had just recently quit my career as a physical therapist, making a really good paycheck, but my daughter passed away and I wanted to start something that I really enjoyed, and I chose travel. But after being burned by so many people that said they wanted to travel with me, they were excited to use a travel agent, they were ready to go on vacation now. You know how that goes. I had to figure out what was going on because it wasn't sustainable for my business, and I was really frustrated, and maybe you felt the same way. So I had to figure out what part of my process was broken, and I found these things to be true. Number one, if they don't have skin in the game, what incentive do they have to actually book with us, right? Think about it. They don't probably know that we get paid commission. A lot of people don't know that, even though we might think that they already do. So they really don't have an incentive to book with us other than to just gather information. Number two, if they got a better price somewhere else, why wouldn't they take it? And that's what was happening in my business. And number three, I realized I wasn't a great communicator about my process and what they should be expecting and how the whole system worked. So after I tweaked my systems, figured out what was broken and fixed it, I now get paid every time I work, and I want that same thing for you. So I'm going to share with you the exact mistakes that I was making when I first started my business and how I fixed them so that you too can get paid each and every time that you work. So the first thing I did was I implemented a plan to go deposit of $50. That meant anybody that booked with me had to give me $50 up front. I would plan their trip, and if they booked with me, I would put it toward their trip. It's just kind of a guarantee that they're going to book with me with that $50 deposit. Now, what I found was that was too low. People were still walking away, and when they did that, $50 for me was not anywhere near enough to cover the time that I was putting into the trip, just the planning process itself with the research and the presentations and such. Now I've implemented a $200 plan to go fee. That's kind of my sweet spot. That's where I feel like I'm getting paid if people walk away, at least for the amount of research that I've done, and it's enough to keep them in the game, okay? They don't really want to walk away from $200, and I think in the time that I've been doing this, probably only 1 or 2 people have walked away, and that was really because they couldn't travel at the time something came up. So I felt really good about that, okay? $200 for me, it might be, $100 for you. Some people I know do 25 and they're okay with that. Whatever that is for you, and you can implement that legally. You have to obviously check with your host or whoever you're with and the place that you live, but that is one of the options. So the other thing I implemented was a planning fee, a straight up planning fee for those things outside my niche, all right? So it takes me more time to research things that I don't already know like the back of my hand, okay? My niche is narrow. I know exactly what it is. It doesn't take me long to do a trip for somebody that's new, but if it's outside my niche, it takes me a longer time. I'm going to implement a fee because I'm going to get paid what I'm worth, okay? It does not go toward that final payment. So that's another way that I can guarantee that I get paid my worth every time I work. The second mistake I was making is that I wasn't proactive about letting people know how everything worked. People don't like surprises when it comes to travel and what they need to pay when things are due. So I had never told people the process. So people would find me on Facebook or find me on my website and say, hey, I am looking at going, here, this date, can you help me out with quotes? And I'd be like, yeah, and I'd tell them, and then I'd be like, it's gonna be this much deposit and it's due this date. Oh, well, we don't have that money now. You know what I mean? It was like, had I just let them know ahead of time what to expect, I could have avoided that, okay? So everybody that comes to me now is really qualified because I actually lay out the whole process on my website, the whole booking process, but they go to that website, they click on the Get Planning tab, and it tells them, step 1, do this, step 2, we're gonna do this, step 3, gonna submit your deposit, step 4, and all the way down. So they know every single step and what to expect in the process. That way there's no surprises and they can't give me an objection that they didn't know. So what I do is when somebody does contact me, I send them directly to that page to make sure they've read it, and they have to acknowledge that they understand the process before I work with them. It's so much easier, okay? So be proactive, think of the ways that you can do that in your business, and you will get more qualified leads contacting you. And the third mistake that I was making was I didn't know how to overcome objections. I didn't know how to do that ahead of time. And let me give you an example. So what is one of the most common objections? Oh, it's too much money, right? So I would just say, oh, okay, sorry, I can't control the price, and I would leave it at that and I would lose the sale. However, I didn't dig deep enough. Overcoming objections is when you really understand what the person's objection might be and the ways around that. What are they really saying to you? Okay, because sometimes it's not that it's too expensive for their budget or their pocketbook. They're saying it's not a great value. Okay, so you have to dig really deep, and when somebody gives you an objection like that, you can say, okay, compared to what? What is expensive about it? Or what don't you think is worth the money? And then you can dig deeper. Maybe they don't want private transfers in a luxury vehicle. Maybe they feel like that's just too expensive and it's not important to them. So those are issues that you can tackle by being aware that objections might come up and what those objections might be and what you can say ahead of time or when that objection occurs to help them through that, okay, to overcome that objection. So it may be a price point or it may just be cash flow. Maybe they just don't have the cash to put up front. And you can say, you know what, we have payment plans. Maybe they're thinking, you got to buy all at once. You don't know that until you ask. So what I would suggest you do is go ahead and write down the most common objections your clients have in your business that you've experienced and ways that you can dig deeper to actually get to the root of the issue. So let's recap really quickly on 3 things that you can revisit in your sales strategy to get more bookings and stop working for free. So you can go ahead and make sure they have skin in the game, whether that's a deposit or a fee. Number 2, be proactive, list things out on your website, let them know ahead of time everything that's coming their way. And number 3, overcome objections, the ones that you know are coming. Research them, plan ahead, and that way you can overcome them and help them actually a lot more. Serve your clients that much better because you're trying to figure out the problem for them. People love that when you can take the time to get to know what they really, really want. So if you're looking for more in-depth, step-by-step strategies on how to grow a business without wasting time and money, go to travelbizimpact.com. That's where you can learn more about our Travel Biz Impact Membership Academy, and the doors are opening soon again. And if you can get on our VIP list right at travelbizimpact.com, you'll be eligible to get a bonus when you do join when the doors open next time. So I'm super excited for that. Head to travelbizimpact.com. But until then, get out there and start getting paid your worth.